Hey everybody, it is Julie. Thanks for joining me today. I am Bible journaling in my Roman scripture journal. So this little book is just the book of Romans, and it has one page of text and then one page that is blank. And I'm using the devotional kit called On the Road by the Well for God. And I'm going to actually journal the very first page. It's before the book of Romans actually starts, because I'm doing day one of the devotional, and I will link my unboxing video so you can see all the contents of the kit and hear about the whole idea behind the whole devotional. But this whole study is about the Romans road. It's about the study of salvation. The book of Romans clearly and concisely describes the plan of salvation. And day one talks about Paul encountering Jesus on the road to Damascus. And so I'm focusing on that here. And that actually is told about in the book of Acts. And since Acts doesn't occur in the book of Romans, that's why I'm doing it here on this page as an introductory page, if you will. So what I'm doing here is using my distress oxides to create a sky scene. And I started with tumbled glass, which is the lightest blue. Then I'm moving up a little bit darker with broken china. And I'm using my blending tool and just in a circular motion, blending the ink down. Then I'm going to come in with a little bit of this violet up at the top. It's called Dusty Concord. And this is going to give me a sky scene. Now, I'm not worried about blending it perfectly. If I wanted that, then I would just put a little bit more effort into it. I did speed this up because it takes a little bit longer than it appears right here. I did speed it up. But I want that kind of misty look, kind of a cloudy look. Now, you see me, I just sprayed it with water, and so that's going to oxidize. It's going to leave kind of a spotty look. Now I'll come in and I ink it onto some clear plastic, and I ink it directly with a stamp pad, and then I use that. I wet it with my wet paintbrush, and then I kind of paint it. I stomp it onto the page, and then I smush it. Now I do dry between the layers. So I start again with the tumbled glass. Now I'll come in with the broken china, and I'm kind of moving up the page. This is one of my favorite methods, and everybody has kind of a different style, a different technique when they're using the distress oxides. This is just kind of the technique I developed when I'm creating these backgrounds. I just love using these different steps, and it creates a multicolor, multi-tonal, multi-layered look. And I just love the different effects, the layered look that you get with these different colors. So I blend it first on the page, then I wet it, then I kind of paint it and smush it and even splatter it. And then I dry it. So there, don't you just love the way that looks? So I left it white at the bottom because here's where I'm going to stamp all these flowers. This is going to be my Tulip Garden. This particular stamp is from the stamp set called Tulip Garden, which is one of the extras that you can purchase to coordinate with the On the Road devotional kit. And I will have all my products linked in the description box. Now this is this stamp can repeat. It ends at the end on each side. It cuts off so that you could actually just repeat the scene. So I just line it up, and where it doesn't line up perfectly, I just come in with my pen and just kind of match it. Now right there, I didn't get a very good impression, so I just come in and pick up my page from behind and kind of make it match a little bit, get that impression a little bit better. I'm not too worried because I'm going to come in with watercolors and make that, give it some color. And then you see I'm using my brayer to ink it to give it that pressure that it needs. And also just use my fist because it's a big stamp, so sometimes it's hard to get all the pressure, and that's what you saw when I didn't get that good impression. So I just think that looks so pretty. It almost looks like an illustration in a book. And I might, for one page, leave it like that, just leave it black and white, but I am going to come in and color it. Now here, what am I doing? I took one of the stamps, the stamp from On the Road. This comes with the kit, and I'm actually performing stamp surgery. I wanted it to say on the and then road. I wanted to split that stamp. So instead of it just saying on the road, I want it to say on the and then road, so I can make it fit the way I want it to instead of it just being one full stamp, so that I could put the word Romans in between it. So now I'm using the alphabets, the alpha stickers that come with the kit, and I'm just placing those where I want them. And I put them on my Bible mat to line them up, putting them in the middle. Now what's so cool about this study and about it's almost ironic, but this is Paul. He was Saul at the time. He was a zealous Christian killer. He sought out the Christians and killed them. And he was on fire against Jesus. But here on the Damascus Road, he encountered Jesus. And in this bright light, and Jesus said, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And Paul immediately became blind. Now, the truth of the matter is he had been spiritually blind up to that point. And now he became physically blind. And throughout the process that he had to follow, he realized that he needed to be dependent on God. And that's how he learned to be spiritually sighted. And then in the verse in Acts that I'm journaling, once those scales came off his eyes, the blinders came off, then he could spiritually see as well as physically see. So, and then he became a zealous Christian. What a beautiful story. And we are like that too, brothers and sisters. We can be blinded by our own agendas. Paul had his own agenda. And we think we may be doing the right thing. But sometimes we have to come to a screeching halt. And sometimes God needs to just encounter us and stop us in our tracks like he did with Paul. So on screen here, I am using the watercolors, the dot card that came in the kit. Beautiful colors, very rich, vibrant colors. And I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just painting them with a wet paintbrush. And I'm alternating the colors, giving it a green background, and then coming back in with the biggest stems and making them a little bit darker, using a variety of the colors. And I just think that turned out very pretty. Now I'm going to dry those. And I'm going to show you a trick that I use. I have a mini travel size iron that's next to my desk, and I keep it on a low heat, and very low. I do not put it on the steam setting, and then I can put a piece of paper in between. And so when my papers get crinkled, when my pages get crinkled, I can actually iron them out. I don't do this all the time, especially if it's got something sticky like a sticker, or especially if it's the clear sticker sheets, that will melt. But if it's just the watercolor like this and it warps the page, crinkles the page, this will just iron it right out. So just keep it on a low heat and make sure you put a piece of paper in between. And don't forget to turn your iron off. That's something that I have done. This one doesn't have an automatic shut-off. So now I am pulling out the tile stickers. These are some extras that you can purchase. I do have them linked. I love all the colors that come in this set. And what I'm spelling out is Paul met Jesus. So the entire sentiment is going to say Paul met Jesus on the Romans road. Now again, the Romans road It's a set of verses that refers to the verses that help us to understand the plan of salvation. And that's what we're going to be studying throughout this whole devotional. And here it talks about how Paul encountered Jesus. Now, it was technically the road to Damascus, but it's described in the book of Romans. So that's why I took a little literary liberty to say that. So I pulled out a couple of the die cut pieces, the one that says on the road, and I'm using the bow. And see how I just, the bow clippy, I deconstructed it. I took one of the ribbons because it has actually 2 pieces of fabric and I used only one, so I can use one for another piece. I tied it so that it's vertical instead of, no, so that it's horizontal instead of vertical. Now, this here, I am using a piece of cardstock that came with those alpha tiles, and I'm cutting out the little truck, the By the Well for God truck, because it's got tulips in the back. And I just thought that was so cute, and I want that truck full of tulips to be on this Romans road. I thought that was precious, and I wanted it to be on my tab. So I cut that out with my tab punch. Now, I'm also pulling out some of the raffia from the kit. I'm using the yellow to bring out that yellow that is in the flowers. And then I also pulled out the glasses, those cute pink glasses. Those are so precious. I would so wear those. Actually, I do. My glasses are kind of like that. And I'm using the raffia. I'm going to tear that in half, and I'm going to back those behind the glasses. Now, there's a little bit of text on that tab with the truck, and so I need to cover that up. So I found a butterfly, and I'm just going to put that on some white cardstock. I'm using that extra cardstock that I punched out. And I used one of the butterflies, the clear stickers, but I want it to be thicker and white, like a die cut, so I cut it out from the white cardstock, and now I'm using one of the yellow alphas. It's actually the number 1 to symbolize that this is the day 1 study. And so I'm going to have a little cluster up at the top here. And then I'm going to put that right there. And I'm going to do a little bit of readjusting here. Going to get one more little butterfly to go right there. I need some balance. So getting one to go the opposite direction. There, that's perfect. Okay, I got a phone call in the midst of this. So I'm going to use some washi tape. This is a Carpe Diem washi tape that actually was the extra goodie that came if you were one of the first 100 to order the kit. And it's got some pretty stripes and florals on it. So I'm just trying to place this tab and the cluster up at the top just so. Now my camera cut off, so I just added a couple of things here. I stamped my date over the side, and I had a stray mark, so I put another butterfly, and I put the raffia behind my glasses, put my bow up at the top, and I wrote my verse down. So that's my page, and I just love the way that looked. So I have my whole Tulip Garden at the bottom, and this is my introductory page for my whole study. So there's my page. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section. Be sure to check the description box for all the products. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, if it gave you some ideas, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.